Welcome to the Global WarWatch Network. Today, we're talking about a weapon that's cheap, it's scalable, and it's proving to be incredibly difficult to stop. Seriously, this is a piece of tech that could fundamentally change how wars are fought, and it has some of the world's most advanced militaries scrambling. So stick around and hey, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on what's coming next. So the United States just pulled the curtain back on a new weapon, but we're not talking about some billion-dollar bomber or a new hypersonic missile. Nope, it's a surprisingly low-cost drone, and it has the Russian military deeply concerned because right now they don't seem to have an effective way to stop it. And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If this drone looks so simple on the surface, why are people calling it a potential revolution in warfare? Well, let's unpack this mystery together. Okay, so first, let's meet this puzzling new weapon. It's called LUCAS, and that stands for Low-Cost, Uncrewed Combat Attack System. It was developed by a U.S. contractor called Spectre Works, and it just made its combat debut. And right away, it started raising some very, very interesting questions. Now, this is where the story gets a little strange. The LUCAS drone is, for all intents and purposes, a U.S.-built copy of Iran's Shahed 136 drone. And Russia is intimately familiar with this design. They've launched thousands of them, which they call Garans, against Ukraine. So think about that. The U.S. is using a weapon design the Russians know inside and out. And what's really fascinating is when you actually look at the specs side by side, the American version, at least based on its prototype, has a shorter range and carries a smaller payload than the original Iranian model. So it's a copy, but on paper, it's not even a better copy. This whole thing just keeps getting weirder, right? So, if the design itself isn't superior, maybe the answer is in the economics. Let's take a look at the price tag, because that low-cost part of its name, yeah, that is definitely not an exaggeration. A single LUCAS unit costs about $35,000. According to Navy Captain Tim Hawkins, it's designed from the ground up to be a scalable system that delivers cutting-edge capabilities for just a fraction of the cost of traditional weapons. And this chart really just says it all. This illustrates the economic logic perfectly. It costs an enemy so much more to shoot down a LUCAS drone than it costs to launch one. I mean, think about it. Firing a $4 million Patriot Interceptor to take down a $35,000 drone, that is an economic battle you just cannot win. Okay, so if it's not the design and the low cost is only part of the story, what is the real secret here? Well, the answer came when some very sharp-eyed Russian military bloggers spotted something critical in test footage released by the Pentagon. The game changer isn't the drone itself at all. It's that small, unassuming box mounted right on top. And what is that box? It's a terminal for Starlink, or even more likely, Starshield, the U.S. military's own specialized satellite network. And you know what? This changes everything. So this table really breaks down exactly why that little box is so revolutionary. Your traditional guidance systems, like GPS, they operate from what's called medium Earth orbit, or MEO, which is about 12,500 miles up. By the time their signals get to Earth, they're pretty weak. But Starlink, it's in low Earth orbit, LEO, just 341 miles up, with this massive constellation of over 10,000 satellites. You have to understand, Russia has become an expert at electronic warfare, or EW. Their mobile jammers, like the Zhitel and Krasuka 4, are specifically designed to overpower those weak signals from distant GPS satellites. But Starlink is a whole different beast. Its signals are stronger, they come from thousands of satellites that are constantly moving, and they use really advanced frequency hopping techniques. Jamming it isn't just difficult, it's a problem on a scale that Russia currently just cannot solve. So, an unjammable, low-cost drone, that's just the beginning. What does this new capability actually mean for the battlefield as a whole? Well, it signals a true revolution in warfare. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This quote comes directly from a prominent Russian military blogger. When your potential adversary calls your new technology a genuine revolution, you know you've hit on something big. They can see the writing on the wall. And here is the most critical takeaway from all of this. This isn't just about one drone. This exact same terminal technology could be adapted and slapped onto Tomahawk missiles, HIMARS rockets, and countless other U.S. strike systems. We're talking about giving the entire American arsenal unprecedented, jam-proof precision. Literally, the ability to hit a specific window from hundreds of miles away. So this leads us to the obvious question. What can Russia, or any other U.S. adversary, possibly do in response to this massive technological leap? I mean, how do you even begin to counter a threat like this? Physically trying to destroy over 10,000 fast-moving Starlink satellites? That is simply not feasible. It would be an impossibly huge and expensive undertaking. Now, Russia isn't just sitting idle. They are developing their own EW systems, things like Tubal and the so-called Starlink killer, Kalinka. But a lot of experts are pretty skeptical. The technical and financial resources you would need to effectively jam a massive, encrypted, low-orbit network like Starlink are just astronomical, and it's really unclear if these systems can actually deliver.
So this right here shows the most likely path forward. If you can't beat them, you've got to join them. Russia and China are now in a frantic race to build their own rival LEO satellite constellations. What we are witnessing is the start of a brand new, high-stakes, high-tech arms race in space.
And this leaves us with a final, really critical question. The battlefield used to be about jamming simple, weak signals, but now it seems to be about dominating low Earth orbit with thousands of satellites. Has this shift fundamentally and permanently altered the very nature of modern warfare? Thanks so much for watching this explainer. We really want to hear your thoughts on this down in the comments below. Do you think the nature of electronic warfare has changed forever? If you found this analysis valuable, please do us a favor and like, share, and subscribe for more explainers just like this one.
And of course, you can find all of our social media links down in the description below to join the conversation there. Thanks again for your time, and we'll see you in the next one.